I don't want to be walking around with no cane. I don't want to be walking around with no wheelchair.
We have an incredible guest today.
It's raw, it's rugged, it's real.
Scott Burnhard.
While I'm still here, I want to become the best version of myself. I'm going to take the initiative and seek the truth and find the truth.
In terms of veganism, do you think that's improved your fitness?
Ooh. You know, I remember when I first started, I couldn't do one pull-up. The push-ups was horrible. Your journey is your journey. Don't compare yourself to anyone.
Scott Burnhard. I mean, don't you just love that name? It's such an affirmation. So he made his name in the calisthenics industry, becoming a standout in how he transformed his body despite having, various childhood injuries. He also became a very powerful advocate for the plant-based lifestyle within that arena, and now he combines both to be a successful and prolific online and offline coach. And what I think is really unique about him is his approach to mindset. He has such a powerful frame where he's always doing his best to be the best that he can be. And we're going to dive into that today, and hopefully we can all learn how we can develop the same kind of mental robustness that has led him to lead the life he currently does. And without further ado, welcome to the show, Scott Burnhard. How are you doing?
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for bringing me on this amazing platform. I've always been a supporter and just an overall fan of plant-based news. And this is such an honor to be on an amazing, prestigious platform when it comes to plant-based and vegan lifestyle and living. So I'm great.
It is great to have you here. And I think that's where we start. So what I've come to understand is that you're a guy who grew up in the Bronx,
Yes.
and also sometime in Jamaica. So I imagine, because I grew up in an urban environment, so there's lots of challenges that you run into. So given your early years, like what challenges did you have to overcome that really shaped your approach to fitness and health?
I mean, first of all, growing up in New York City and just growing up in the Bronx in general, the Bronx is one of probably the most unhealthiest counties in New York City. And growing up in the Bronx, there wasn't a lot of healthy options. Like I can remember going back to like school days, like it was always like a fried chicken spot. There was always a pizza spot, Chinese food, these fast foods, these processed foods all around the neighborhood. And we've seen it so much that we internalize it into being very normal. So growing up, you see that a lot of the aunties, the uncles, and the parents, they start developing these cancers, these diseases, these ailments. And you start to wonder to yourself, like, how is this happening? Like, because some people think that it happens out of nowhere, but in the reality, it's you living a certain lifestyle, you living on a certain unhealthy lifestyle that develop these chronic illnesses and chronic diseases. So growing up, I would say that the challenge was definitely being indoctrinated into just eating fast foods, eating processed foods, and just saying, okay, we eating food just to eat food, but not understanding that it's not giving us any nutritional value. I would say, growing up, because I'm Jamaican, right? So growing up in my household, of course, it was like traditional Jamaican foods, the oxtail, the fried chicken, the curry chicken, rice and peas. Like, it's all culture. It's all culture. But not to say like it was something bad with those foods at that time, because I didn't know what I know now. And it just, I would say those were the challenges for me growing up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting when you say that, because when I think back to my childhood and now, it's like in other environments, there's an awareness about health and whether or not you choose it. But in that environment, there's not even the awareness that that health is something you can do. Like I didn't know anybody that when I was younger who was healthy. Did you have the same experience?
Yeah, you know what? That's very interesting too, because I would say I didn't get exposed to that until I started to live in Jamaica. Like I was born here in New York City. I was born, here and raised in the Bronx. And then my mother, she wanted to finish her nursing school, so she sent me down to Jamaica. And when I was down in Jamaica, I would say I was more exposed to like healthy conscious eating because my aunt, she was Rastafarian. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it was
Okay.
more conscious, you know, more ITAL living, more ITAL food, not so much fried food or processed foods. Yeah, so I would say that was my personal experience when it
Was
came
that
to like
quite a
health.
pivotal shift? Your mother sending you down there. I'm sure it was so that she could get ahead in her own life, right, and provide for you all. And you're down there. And did that shape a lot, like being in Jamaica and having that type of food, or just being in that environment?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely that shaped a lot of my healthy conscious eating and habit ways, you know, to this day because when I was growing up in Jamaica, like I said before, my aunt, she was Rastafarian, so you know, she would not cook so much meat. Like she'll do it for like, you know, little here and there, but she personally, she didn't eat any meat. You know, she was very like provisions, you know, rice. Sometimes she do like the tofu chunks and everything like that. And you know, just growing down there, it was like, okay, the food is much more fresh
Right.
and just having that conscious mindset and that conscious thinking really, you know, helped me to promote the way that I'm eating even right now. Because I can look back and I can think back when my aunt used to make a lot of vegetables, a lot of provisions, you know, whether it was chickpeas, mung beans, just those things in general.
And
Yeah,
this stuff sticks. You know, it really sticks when you see someone doing it. Um,
absolutely.
so on the other side, the fitness side now, where did your love of calisthenics begin? Like, how did you get into this fitness? You're quite a known person in this field now. How did that all come about?
Um, My love for calisthenics started on YouTube. It started on YouTube. I remember back in like high school. Um, Let me give you a little background story. So before high school, anything like that, I broke my right arm 3 times. A lot of people don't know that. I'll talk about the story from time to time, but I broke my right arm 3 times. I broke it twice in Jamaica and one time in the States. So the first time I broke it, I was playing football. No, we're not gonna call it soccer. I was playing football. I was playing football in the fields, and I was playing in this rural area, like the countryside of Jamaica. And while I was playing football, this dog started to chase me out of nowhere. True story. Started to chase me out of nowhere. I'm young, and then I tripped on a rock and I landed like on my arm, my right arm, and broke it the first time. And then the second time, it was like a freak accident. So I was in primary school and I saw like the upperclassmen, they was like doing arm wrestling to see who was the strongest. And at the time, you know, I was trying to impress this girl named Kimberly. I still remember this. I was trying to impress this girl named Kimberly. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go and face the upperclassmen. And I was there and I'm here and I'm here. And then just like my arm just snapped. Like
No.
resistance. Yeah, man. It happened. Yeah, that was a crazy one. That was a freak accident that I had to do surgery. And then the third one was kind of like a freak accident as well, too, because I was like in fourth or fifth grade and I was playing kickball. And, you know, I'm just playing kickball. I'm just having a good old time being a kid. And I kicked the ball. It's like, all right, cool. And then somebody caught it and like threw it between my legs. And we was playing on concrete. So that, you know, it slipped, boom, hurt my arm. The third time, then I had nerve damage. Couldn't move my arm. I had to learn to write with my left. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And from there, you ended up becoming a fitness guru.
You know, no. This story has layers to it, but definitely going back to my love for calisthenics happened on YouTube. You know, when I first started to, you know, watch YouTube in high school, and I was like man, like I know I see people going into the gym and everything like that, but at the time I couldn't even afford a gym membership. So when I first started to see the calisthenics on YouTube, I was just like, man, these guys are, you know, they look fit, they look great, and they're not in the gym. So my love didn't really develop until I found out that there was an environment like that in my neighborhood. And when I start to go to the park and everything like that, you know, the guys, you know, shout outs to Q, he's my mentor. He started to embrace me. And he's just like, hey, just come to the park every day when you can. Come at this certain time, this certain time. And I was just like, oh, I'm coming like every day if I can, and my love just started to like really develop into the consistency of it. I remember when I first started, I couldn't do one pull-up. The push-ups was horrible. The the squats was terrible. I started from ground zero, like I had a nice lean build, but to do those movements, those functional movements, it was pretty hard at first.
So the thing I try to understand with people like yourself is if you start doing it and it doesn't feel good and you don't like it and it's hard, what is it that you love about it?
The challenge. I'm a person that loves to challenge. Like I like to challenge myself. Like I like to like I like to prove people wrong, and I like to challenge myself. And I like to prove myself wrong sometimes because sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do it, but I do it, and I'm just like, the sensation, the feeling, the euphoria of overcoming a challenge. I love it.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
So you're willing to put up with the bits that you don't like
yes,
for this overcoming the challenge. So that's really important to you.
yes.
That
Very
challenge.
important to me.
That makes a lot more sense to me now. I really can see how that can be the process. So somewhere in this path, you transitioned away from eating meat. I think you
Oh,
went vegetarian, vegan. What was that like?
oh man, I love telling this story because this story is the origin of my. I mean, I already had a brand before, but this right here, I love telling this story. So, back in 2015, you know, I was well known in the calisthenics world. Videos is going viral and everything like that, and it was awesome. It was beautiful. Of course, I wasn't vegan back then, or even thinking about vegan, vegetarians. I mean, at one point, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I used to make fun of people who were plant based and vegan because I didn't know any better, you know. But 2015, I was shooting a documentary in Times Square called "The World Is Your Gym" with a couple of colleagues and buddies of mine. And while I was showing the documentary in the heart of New York, Times Square, I slipped. I went on a platform and I slipped and I hurt my wrist. Like my wrist just took all of the pounding and the beating. So when it first happened, I was, I was just like, okay, let me just chill for a bit. Let me just chill for a bit. So during my resting phase, I noticed that it wasn't going down. Like the swelling wasn't going down. So I said, okay, what does a person do when they are compromised in any type of way? They go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and he said, oh, you have inflammation in your wrist. So he's telling me this inflammation. I don't know what inflammation is at the time. So I'm like, okay. He gives me the prescriptions, he gives me the pills. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is going to help me. I'm going to be able to get back on the bar and do my calisthenics and, because I'm an athlete. So I started taking the prescription and the pills, and honestly, it was making me depressed. It
Right.
Those prescriptions and pills that he was giving me was making me so depressed because for one, I wasn't seeing the results, and two, it kind of really messed with my mood as well too, my mental health. So while I was going through that depression phase, my spirit, I don't know what it was, my intuition, my spirit told me, Scott, the doctor said you have inflammation. Google and research inflammation. So when I did that Google search and I did that research, literally it says inflammation. They said meat, dairy, eggs, processed food are highly inflammatory. When I seen that, my mind blew because I was just like, how could this be? Especially going up from a Jamaican culture, like, the oxtail, the curry chicken, the rice and peas. I'm thinking about like my cultural background at this point, and I'm just like, wow, like, how could this be? So I said, you know what? The doctor is not going to help me at this point. I'm going to take the initiative and seek the truth and find the truth. So what I did, I said, you know what? I'm going to take time and I'm going to research. And because me, I don't like to be oblivious in anything. I don't like to not know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I take the initiative and I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take a couple of months and I'm going to research about this plant-based vegan lifestyle and really get in depth into it, what it's about. And that's when I started to watch a lot of YouTube. I started to research Dr. Sebi, Queen Afua, and Dr. Layla Africa. I consider those my big three personally. And as I'm researching and I'm learning certain things, I'm looking at different vegan and plant-based athletes. I'm like, these guys don't look like they're sick and dying. They look really great. They look
Right. Right.
awesome, to be quite frank. So I said, okay, now it's 2016, and this was back when I was in the modeling industry. I used to model back in the day. So I just came back from Paris Fashion Week, and I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to take this journey. I think it's time for me to just see what this plant-based vegan lifestyle is about. And it's not like I'm not familiar with it because, back when I used to live in Jamaica, my aunt also introduced us to ITIL eating, ITIL living. So I said, you know what? Let me take 1 week. I did the first week. I replaced certain things. I'm like, okay, I'm not eating no chicken. I'm like, all right, chickpeas. All right, cool. I'm replacing certain things. And that first week of me eating, plant-based vegan, I went completely vegan, was probably like one of the best weeks of my life. Literally, my face started to clear up. I had more energy. I was sleeping better. I had more mental clarity. Like I get so excited talking about it because that's how I literally felt. And I felt less bloated. I just felt great overall. Now, the second week, mind you, this was 8 to 9 months of research, 8 to 9 months of research while I still have inflamed wrists. The second week that I did it was the week of revelation for me because remember, I couldn't do any pull-ups. I couldn't do, certain movements because of the inflamed wrists. And I said, let me see what I can do, man. Let me see if I can do some pull-ups. It's been a minute. And I remember when I would try to do pull-ups, it would really hurt. It would really, irritate me. I did about 13 to 15 pull-ups and I got off the bar and I was just like, I looked at my wrist, I looked at my hand and I just said, I think I just healed myself.
That's amazing.
And yeah.
That's interesting. That's a very powerful story. So I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Did you have any cravings for the food you were giving up?
You know what? That's a really good question because the third week, right? So one of my family members, my Uncle Roy, shout outs to him. He has a Jamaican restaurant that I used to go to a lot, And I remember the third week going into my vegan plant-based journey, I went to the restaurant. And every time I come to the restaurant, Uncle Roy, he knows my special, the white rice with the curry chicken. He knows. So as soon as I sat down, white rice with the curry chicken, and I probably get like a malt soda or something like that. And I'm there. The chicken and the white rice is right in front of me. And I take up the fork and I'm like, all right, it's time to do this. And for some reason, my arm or my body could not move. It just refused to pick up the white rice and curry chicken. And at this point, we having a staring contest. I'm looking at it, it's looking at me, and I'm just like, and my Uncle Roy, he's very Jamaican. He's like, you're not gonna eat it. You're not like, what's going on? You're not eat it. So I just looked at him and I said, Uncle Roy, I don't think I can eat this. Just like that. Just like that. I literally, I said, I don't think I can eat this.
See, the reason why I was so looking forward to interviewing you is because I come from the side of food addiction where I really struggled to change my diet, and most people struggle in some ways.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that you didn't, but it's like there's something about your body or your mindset that I think it prioritizes the results so much that it kind of, because the mind's very powerful, right? And when
Yes,
you
it is.
prioritize the results so much, it can almost negate the addiction, like negate the cravings. It's just like, just no. It's like if someone offers you a pebble, you're never going to have a craving for it. And I think that some people's mindset gets so powerful with their health that they just can't see the food as food anymore.
No, I cannot see food as just food. It's either the food is gonna fuel me. It cannot just be food is food, not at all. Because if we think that food is food, then that's when we think like, okay, eating cookies and chips and eating all the processed food is just okay, and it's not okay. That it causes high amounts of inflammation. High amounts of inflammation, you're causing your body to be a cesspool for diseases. So one if you don't know, you don't know, but once you do know, you have chances of doing better. And literally, when that moment when I refused the white rice and curry chicken, I said, "Oh man, wow, this is next level." So I went vegetarian for a year. I didn't go vegan plant-based. I went vegan plant-based in my healing journey, but I said, you know what? I'm a very realistic person. I'm not somebody that's like, okay, I can just do cold turkey. Some people could do it. Me personally, I can't do it. And I was very realistic within my journey. And I said, okay, I'm gonna do 1 year vegetarian, 2016. Never forget it. And I remember I quit eggs in like 2 weeks. I remember my body was just rejecting things. Like I remember, okay, I'm gonna eat eggs in the morning. And I remember I made some eggs and I was just like, I can't do this no more. So I'm like, okay, I'm not eating eggs. I'm eating oatmeal now. I'm eating oatmeals. I'm spicing it up with some hemp seeds, with some cinnamon, some maple syrup. I spice it up. I make it really nice. And then as I'm going through my vegetarian journey, I started cutting certain things off. I would say cheese was probably one of the hardest because I love pizza. Yeah, cheese was probably one of the hardest things to cut off. But the reason why cheese is so hard to cut off because it has casein in it. Because that casein in the cheese that's coming from the cow, it becomes a very addictive hormone. It's like you're literally on drugs somewhat. Yeah. So cheese it was kind of hard. But when I found like different cheese alternatives, I was like, okay. I can eat the vegan pizza. That's fine. I think the only thing that I quit the not the only thing I quit, but the last thing that I did quit was like honey. I was like, okay, honey comes from bees. I'm like, all right, I can stay away from honey. I got agave and date syrup, which I'm mostly a date syrup guy. I don't really like agave to this day, but date syrup is where I'm at. So I did 1 year vegetarian, and I just started to quit certain things out, quit it. And in 2017, I said, you know what? I'm gonna just go full vegan.
Do you think that this behavior that you're going through, these transitions, because there's lots of people watching you and you're living in this area, what effect did that have? Did that affect certain people? Was there one person it really affected, or was it kind of more general?
I would say a lot of people were very curious because they saw the difference in my attitude, they saw the difference in my energy, they saw the difference in just my whole aura in general. So a lot of people were curious, especially in my area, especially friends like, yo, Scott, like, oh, doing this vegan thing, you're doing this plant-based thing, like, what is it about? And I will explain to them my story, and I'll explain to them certain things that I've cut out and certain things I've replaced the things that I've cut out. Like, okay, some people want to talk about the protein. I'm like, okay, lentils, chickpeas, mung beans, oyster mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, fonio. I can keep going on for days, right? So I would say a lot of people was just very curious about, how are you living this way, and also because of the fake propaganda or the fake news where people is like, oh, if you're vegan, then you're gonna be skin and bones, or if you're vegan, you're gonna, be deficient in minerals and everything like that. But people speak from a place of ignorance because they don't know, right? So for me, I like to reveal the truth, or I like to express my own truth and express my own personal stories to people so they can understand, okay, how to go, or just have an example of where to go. So yeah, a lot of people is definitely curious.
Yeah. Is there any one person that you affected particularly, or that you helped go vegan, or?
mm. My friend Blocka the dancer. Shout outs to him. I was with him the other day. he used to get a lot of rashes and a lot of seizures. Um, and he used to be very lethargic, right? And while I was living my plant-based lifestyle, I'm vegan. I'm probably like 1 year vegan, 2 years vegan, and something like that. And I started to be more open with it on social media. I started to be more open with it, just overall in general, on how this lifestyle has changed me for the better. And I remember he went through like an episode or something like that, and he just called me and he was like, Scott, whatever you're doing, I need to do it. And I said, listen, brother, whatever I have, you have it. So literally I started to like educate him on certain things like, okay, let's cut out the dairy milk because that's causing a lot of inflammation, that's causing a lot of pus, that's causing a lot of toxicity within the body. We have different alternatives. We have almond milk, we have walnut milk, we have rice milk, we have hemp milk. So I start to steer him in the way of the different alternatives, right? Um, let's cut out the. I think at one point we started cutting out the beef and the chicken, and then he's like, okay, let's just do fish because I like I said before, I'm a very realistic person. You
Yeah.
know, I always tell people like you don't have to go cold turkey. Your journey is your journey. Don't compare yourself to anyone. I always tell people start off with a meatless Monday. Start off with a meatless Monday where you research and find a plant-based meal or find a plant-based cuisine that you can rock with on a Monday. And then you're gonna feel much better. It's like, okay, the meatless Monday turns into meatless Tuesdays and then Wednesdays and Thursdays. And then from there you see that you're incorporating more plant-based vegan meals into your overall regimen. So going back to the story, I started to introduce him to certain ITEL things because like I said before, my auntie was Rastafarian, so she would make us take bitters. I hated it as a kid. Bitters, sea moss, those holistic, herbs and medicine. So I started to introduce him to that. And we started to like go down the list and I started to like just break down to him, these things that have helped me. And lo and behold, it was breaking down so much inflammation in his body to the point that he doesn't have any episodes and he doesn't have any seizures to this day.
Wow, that's amazing.
Literally.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. In
Yes.
your own life, I mean, obviously, there's lots of people talk online about this diet's better for fitness, that diet's better for fitness. In terms of veganism, do you think that's improved your fitness, or do you think it's some other conversation about that?
Let me tell you, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Because just because it's vegan doesn't mean that it's healthy. You hear what I'm saying? Just because
Absolutely.
it's vegan does not mean that it's healthy. One of my mentors, Orisha, I'm surviving vegan. I love her to this day. She told me, Scott, the front is for advertising and the back is for education. I said, what do you mean? Look at certain products. When you turn to the back of it, you look at these ingredients. You look at certain ingredients. You look at the rapeseed oil. You look at the high fructose corn syrup. You look at the maltodextrin. You look at the sucrose, the dextrose, which is artificial sugar that takes 3 times as much to burn off as regular sugar. And when you look at these certain products, you'd be like, "Oh wow, this is what I've been introducing into my body this whole time." So your level of consciousness starts to increase and it starts to grow in such a way where it's just like, oh wow, I can't be putting this poison in my body. But going back to the vegan and the fitness lifestyle, like I said, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So if you know you're going to be more, in a physically fit regiment, right? Okay, you need your protein, fats, and carbs, macronutrients. Do not forget the micronutrients. And this is where the vitamins and the minerals come in. That's why you can take some sea moss to add on to your micronutrients, and you could take some bladderwrack to add on to your micronutrients. Those things really, really matter as well too. Everybody's so fixated on protein, protein, protein. but never talk about the essential minerals that helps to build the body, the calcium, the magnesium. I could keep on going, but absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you coach people now. You have a coaching program,
Yes.
right? What's that
Yes.
called again? The website? What is it?
So my website is called workhardburnhard.com, www.workhardburnhard.com. And I have taught over thousands on how to live the plant-based lifestyle. And those who are looking to lose weight and build lean muscle, those are looking to gain weight, especially a lot of my guys that comes in, they want to gain weight. They want to have that muscular look. And I tell these guys, listen, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Of course, you need to be in a caloric surplus. That means that you need to be eating more than what your calorie maintenance is, right? So you need to be eating more. You need to be getting sufficient amount of rest. People don't understand that if you're not sleeping, then you're stressing. And if you're stressing, you're introducing a hormone called cortisol, which literally breaks down your muscular physique because there's no testosterone being built. It's just your body is in fight or flight mode. It's a lot of stress, it's a lot of cortisol buildup. So the muscles are not being stimulated. And also, your body goes into two phases. It's going to be catabolic, which is the breakdown of muscle, or it's going to be anabolic, which is the increased amount of muscle. So I'm always telling these guys, man, listen, you got to get your sleep. You got to be in a caloric surplus. You also have to train hard. Don't think that you're going to be doing vast amounts of cardio and you're going to be building muscle. No, that's not how it works.
You define as train hard.
Train hard. Train hard means that not necessarily like pushing yourself to the limit to where you overtrain, but training hard is stimulating the muscles at a time. All right. So if you're training hard, that means that there's gonna be some heavy breathing involved. There's gonna be um a good amount of effort into the training. All right. So if I set up a program and it's a work hard, burn hard custom program, training hard, it will be something like, depending on what your goal is. Say somebody wants to lose weight and gain muscle mass, right? So from there, it would probably be more of a strength training program. So training hard, depending on the individual, we probably say, okay, 3 sets of 8 reps of squatting, and we'll probably give them a rest time of 2 minutes. But overall, training hard is for you to give the effort, the amount of effort that you put into your training.
When you train hard, to give people a reference point, when you train hard, how would you feel the next day?
You're going to feel sore.
Right. So
You're going
that's
to feel sore
right.
because there's been so much metabolic damage into the muscles, and the facet tissues are clumped up like this, right? So that's why you get sore. And when you are sore, that is a reminder like, wait, you really pushed it to the limit. But of course, you don't want to stay sore all day and all night. Increase your overall potassium levels. You could do some myofascial work, which is to myofasciate, to break down. If you want to get a nice deep tissue massage or massage, you could use a tennis ball, you could use a foam roller, things of that nature, right? So yeah, man, you gotta work. You gotta work hard, burn hard.
Because the reason I'm asking these questions is because sometimes fit people don't know how much other people don't know.
Yes,
Because they
yes,
forget, right? So basically, what I'm getting from this is that someone would eat as much plant based food as they can have in their diet, whatever works for them on that journey. Maybe they feel sore 3 times a week, and in between that, they're getting massages, potassium, drinking, like getting the best fuel they can to recover, and they're just
yes.
doing this onwards and onwards.
Mm.
That's the
So
lifestyle that you're talking about.
that's the lifestyle I'm talking about. You have to understand that you need to sacrifice in order for a greater gain, right? So what does that mean, Scott? That means that certain things that you were doing before that was holding you back, you need to put that to the back burner, and you need to be more conscious and be more aware of your training regimens, the sleep that you're getting, the recovery phase as well too, which, like I said before, your deep tissue massages, your myofasciating, you're recovering, right? Because if you're not recovering, you are going to crash and burn. If you're not getting a good amount of sleep, if you're not myofasciating, if you're sore all the time, that is not a good sign. I must admit that is not a good sign. Like, you could be sore, but not all the time, because if you're sore all the time, there's no recovery. There's no proper blood flow going throughout the body. The blood carry the essential minerals and the nutrients within the body itself. So if the facet tissues are always clumped up, there's no proper blood flow. There's no proper circulation. So just be mindful of those things.
So why don't you just like take it easy now?
See, so listen. Remember, Joe, I said you don't necessarily have to train or just give it your all and just gas out. There are recovery days. There's days that, okay, I am too sore at this moment. I know that I cannot train this muscle group. Then guess what? I'm going to work on some mobility work. I'm going to work on some flexibility work. I'm going to work on some cardio to get my cardiovascular system up. I'm going to do some yoga. I'm going to do some Pilates. I'm going to do something. I'm going to stretch.
We're moving into motivation and mindset. And what I'm asking you is like, because I'm looking at you and I don't think you can see this part of yourself, but you are completely 100% motivated. Like, I'm doing this, I'm doing it again tomorrow. And the
Yes.
day, and why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Man,
What's the value or the mentality that's driving this?
man, let me tell you something.
Because it's beautiful to see. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I want to hear you talk about that.
Let me tell you something. I'm about to go a little bit deep right now, but that's Scott Burnhard in itself. That's like my essence. But the fact of the matter is, Joe, is that we're all on borrowed time on this earth. Nothing is exact. Nothing is forever. We are all on borrowed time on this earth. We don't know when it's that our time to go. But what I do know is that while I'm still here, I want to become the best version of myself in everything that I do. In everything that I do. Whether it's through my business, whether it's through my fitness, my motivational speaking, whatever it is that I'm doing, I want to be the best out of it, or I want to be the best version of it. So what motivates me is the feeling of feeling healthy, the feeling knowing that I can wake up at 5:30, 5 o'clock, and be so pumped to go to the gym, while some other people, they feel groggy and they feel tired because they don't have the motivation, they don't have the discipline. Me, I'm a disciplined individual, so it shines through my work ethic. It shines through um the way I carry myself. It shines through just everything in life. So that's what motivates me. But motivation is so temporary. So I say that's what disciplines me. And also, Joe, growing up, I seen a lot of people. They pass away from these chronic illnesses and chronic diseases. I seen a lot of people, they become old. And there's nothing wrong with being old, but when I say old, it's just like the mindset of them feeling like, oh, I'm too old to work out. I'm too old to do this. I'm too old to do that, And I always, I kind of like compute it into myself and internalize myself. I will never be in that position. I don't want to be walking around with no cane. I don't want to be walking around with no wheelchair. I, I've seen people and I've interviewed people. Shout out to my uncle Jawa. He's 72 years old. He's still doing pull-ups. He's still doing muscle-ups. This man would outwork any 20-year-old or 30-year-old. I've seen it before. And I'm just like, wow, this is who I want to be. The inspiration and the examples are all in front of me.
Yeah. This makes a lot more sense now. It makes
Yes.
sense anyway, but it makes a lot more sense because now, when you found veganism, you've already primed yourself, even at a very subconscious level, like, I'm looking for this. So
Yes.
when you found veganism, you're like, that works. And that's why you're sitting in that restaurant having a staring competition with the chicken.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because
Pretty much.
you found like when you find these wins, it's almost like your driving force is like, right, that's part of my team now.
Yes.
End of, right? And it's amazing. What are you drinking there?
Oh, I'm drinking some ginger mixed with some watermelon juice and sea moss.
Okay, so I've got a bag of sea moss downstairs. What do I do with it?
Oh man, that's easy, man. So sea moss is an ocean algae, right? Ocean algae mean ocean plant. So the plant, it gets the minerals from the rocks that it's attached to. So with an ocean plant or just a plant in general, you want to soak it. So when you're soaking the sea
This is the
moss,
powder, I think this is. So I don't know if
oh,
it's
it's a
any good.
powder. Okay, so you just have to take the powder and put some water and just stir it. Okay, if it's the powder, then that's fine.
Watermelon, sea moss, and ginger.
Yes,
I'm going
that's
to give
that's
that a
right
try.
there.
We need to
Listen,
come up, we need to give that drink a name.
yes, yes. I call
Jamaican
it the pick
Ocean.
me up, man. This is the pick me up. You know, this because the watermelon is really great for you, especially as a man. You know, the citrulline is going to boost your testosterone. The ginger, anti-inflammatory. The watermelon is also anti-inflammatory, and the sea moss, over 92 essential minerals for the human body. So you put these three right here, and you drink it in the morning. You have so much energy. That's why I tell people stay away from that coffee. I tell people stay away from that coffee because coffee is a stimulant. It is a drug. I don't care what nobody says. That high amounts of caffeine is no good for you. No good. There's many different alternatives. You see here, I have my watermelon, my ginger, and my sea moss. Sometimes I'll drink like a bitter tea. I'll drink like a black wormwood tea or a Casa Sagrada, which is a bitters that I grew up on. I would drink some lemongrass tea. You know those type of herbal teas that's gonna help flush you out. You know, so and also coffee it traps the water within your body as well too. This is
Right.
hydrating you at the
Yeah.
same time. So yeah,
That looks great. That looks
thank you,
really
brother.
good.
Thank you, thank
So
you.
the coffee is, I think it's probably the most pervasive drug on the planet.
Yes.
Or in the West, I would say, and that's why there's a coffee shop on every corner. And in Thailand, there's actually more coffee shops here than there is even in the US. Like
Oh
every
my.
50 feet, there's another little coffee bar.
Oh
So,
my.
I mean, this is such a fascinating conversation because, like, when I see someone like you, it's like it's trying to unpack the driving force. And so, for what I'm seeing is like you've got this inbuilt. We never know what program we're going to arrive on the planet with, and you've got this inbuilt desire to be the best that you can, and you're coming from an environment where it's not healthy, and you're literally just picking up these tips and things on the way, and you're making them your own. You're just saying, right, this is now mine. No hesitation,
Yes.
little bit of struggle maybe, but this is now mine. When I first heard your name, I looked at your email. It's like Bernhard. I was like, what Bernhard? And now I'm like, that's such a good idea. It's an affirmation for your
Yes.
name.
It's a
Hey
lifestyle.
Scott, Bernhard.
Yes. Joe, it's a lifestyle, man. The Bernhard lifestyle. First of all, Bernhard came from my father's name, which is Bernard. Bernard is my middle name. So when my father transitioned back in my last year in university, I said, you know what? I'm going to carry on his name. But how do I carry it on? And this is when I was starting like my fitness persona and really getting into the branding of certain things. And Bernhard came from Bernard. So yeah,
Hmm.
yep. And
So
it's a lifestyle, it's a mantra. I live it every single day.
yeah, I did hear a bit of story about your father passing and what a difficult time that was for you.
Yes.
But you've done him proud, mate. You know,
Thank you so
you've
much.
taken this on a beautiful, beautiful journey.
Thank you.
What are your future goals, inspirations, or aspirations? What are you looking to do next?
Oh man, future goals and aspirations. I have so many, so many. Because I'm a man that's driven by ambition.
Hmm.
You know, I'm a man that's driven by purpose. So it's just so many that I can think of. Of course, you know, recently I started a new endeavor. I started a new thing now. I'm doing retreats in Jamaica. I'm doing holistic wellness retreats in Jamaica now. So what did that consist of? That means that within my retreats into Jamaica, I bring people to Jamaica, but they never seen Jamaica like this before. I'm talking about the trees, I'm talking about nature, I'm talking about the freshest of fruit, I'm talking about, you know, first of all, everything is plant-based. It's the Burnhard Wellness Retreat. So everything is plant-based, everything is vegan. We're also incorporating herbs into our regimen. So every day you wake up, you have a bitter shot, you have a ginger shot, you have some watermelon shot, whatever the case may be, and this retreat that I'm doing, I actually did my first one, I'm getting ready to do my second one this month, is to bring people to a place of peace and prosperity. That's what I want to do. I want to remove you from the everyday corruptions of modern day society, and I want to bring you to a place of peace and prosperity. I want to bring you to a place where you can think. I want to bring you to a place that you can educate and learn about certain herbs and certain practices that's really going to enhance your overall lifestyle. And it's been so much of a dream of mine to bring people to such a place like this, knowing that I was born here, but I was raised in Jamaica, right? And just like any other child, I had some traumas in Jamaica, but as a grown man, to come back to the island and to actually do work in the island and actually bring people to a place that I also call home is the most, beautiful and outstanding thing that I can ever think of. So I'm very much excited about these retreats that I'm hosting, and just bringing people to Jamaica and allowing them to experience it like they never experienced it before. Because a lot of people, when they think about going to the islands or going to Jamaica, they want to go to the resorts. They want to go to, the places that are just, I would say, commercialized in a sense.
Yeah.
But we in the bush, we in the countryside, we in the bush. I'm gonna show you how to cultivate some plants. I'm gonna show you how to, chop down a sugar cane tree. We're in the bush, and you're gonna get to interact with, the locals. You're not just closed off in a resort.
Yeah, it's great.
So
It's
yeah.
great. What is a bitter shot?
Oh, a bitter shot. So a bitter shot will consist of ginger, some cayenne pepper, and maybe some lemon, something like that, right? Or you could do the Casa Sagrada. That's a herb that's, extremely bitter. And you could just, take it to the head like a shot.
It's literally a
Yeah.
bitter
But
shot. Okay.
this is a healthy shot. This is a shot that's going to help cleanse out the mucus out the body, cleanse out the parasites in the body, cleanse out the inflammation out of the body, right? So it's very bitter, but the bitterness is going to be excellent for your overall liver, is going to be excellent for your overall body in general, so yeah.
Last question. What is your advice for someone who's maybe watching this and they're not feeling like the greatest health, they haven't got their fitness going on, they may not even be vegan. What would you suggest to them to get started on this journey?
Let me tell you something, man. The first thing I would tell someone is to be realistic within your journey. Be realistic. You don't have to be doing what everybody else is doing. This is your journey. And seeing that is your journey, you don't have to compare yourself to anyone. So once you're realistic in the journey, it's like, okay, what can I do? What can I realistically do? All right, can I do like one plant-based meal a week, or can I do it for a whole day? Can I do it for 2 to 3 days, or whatever the case may be? Because once you're realistic, it prevents you from crashing and burning. Some people just go in there and they have no educational background. They have nothing, So, of course, you want to be realistic. Now, after you're realistic, do your research. Research is very important. Okay, seeing that I'm not going to be eating chicken and rice every single day, okay, what can I do to replace the chicken and rice? Right? What can I do to replace that? Oh, like I said before, you have chickpeas, you have oyster mushrooms, you have king oyster mushrooms, you have portobello mushrooms, you have lentils, mung beans. You have all of these different things that you can season it up. It's not going to necessarily taste like chicken, but you can season up in a certain way that it gives you kind of like a nostalgic taste. So you want to research. Next, you want to put into practice of what you research. So keep yourself accountable in certain ways. I know sometimes as humans, we do, we fall down, but the most important thing is that we get up. So even though you fell down, just keep yourself more accountable. It's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This Meatless Monday, I'm going to prepare some chickpea stew, which is one of my favorite dishes. I'm going to do like a oyster mushroom skewer or jerk oyster mushroom, whatever the case may be. There's certain things you could do. I'm gonna do a salad per se. Um, Next, this also goes into the research as well too. Like I said before, the YouTube, reading books, and see how other people do it. Of course, you don't have to do exactly what they do. That's your own choice. But get different examples. Because once you start seeing different examples, like, okay, all right, I see how, they doing it. I see how they thrive and every, things like that. And also find out your why. Now, of course, vegan is for the animals. We're vegan because we want to reduce the harm that's being done to the animals. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
So the fact of the matter is, not everybody's here for the animals. Find your why, right? Find your why. Why is it that you want to be vegan? Why you want to be plant-based? Why you want to, and let that drive you. Let that drive you. Is it for health reasons? Which I mostly get a lot of people for health reasons. Is it for the animals? Well, it should be for the animals, of course. Is it because of ethics? Is it because of you just want to feel better? You want to try something different? Find out your why and let that drive you. You know. Before I go, I want to touch on something real quick because this is something that I recently discovered last year. And yes, there's vegan, there's plant-based, but tapping into raw veganism. Let me tell you something. Last year, I came back from a cruise, a soca cruise. Listen, man, I love to party, man. I love to have a good time. But I remember when I came back from the cruise and I don't know if anybody's spiritual here, but I felt like God was telling me, son, you need to fast and detox.
Right.
And I was like, what do you mean I need to fast and detox? Okay, whatever. But what kind of fast and detox? And it came to me, said raw. And I said, what? I mean, I've eaten raw cuisines and it tastes really good, but like to do a raw fast and detox where I sustain myself from any kind of cooked food. So no chickpeas, no fried oyster mushrooms, none of them good stuff that I really, really love. But I start to, but like I said before, I'm a very disciplined individual. As long as I have the research and I have the knowledge, and it started to come to me, like I started to go to some of my elders and I started to go to some of my mentors. And it's like, um, there's voices telling me that I need to fast and detox. And I just need some pointers. I just need some views. And then I started to do some research. And then I found out that I'm not doing this by myself because now I'm bringing the community. So I use my social media as a gateway, and I said, okay, I'm starting this raw vegan challenge. Hey, do you want to guide? You want to join me and stuff? And created this PDF and created this kind of template for people to follow. So I'm doing it along with others. I made a Facebook group and everything like that, and doing the raw vegan challenge or the raw vegan fasting detox was probably one of the best things I've ever done in my wellness journey.
How many days did you do?
I did 21 days.
Amazing.
21 days of raw. So a lot of juices, watermelon, soursop, the seeded key lime, seeded grapes, just a whole bunch of fruits. And also I did my salads as well, arugula, what was it? I did arugula, microgreens, I did avocado, I did some asparagus. Like I'm just naming certain things I will put into my salad. And it changed my whole perspective when it comes to vegan and plant-based eating. Like I said before, Joe, I said just because it's vegan doesn't mean that it's healthy. Food is the most healthiest when it's in its rawest form. So while I'm eating the fruits and the vegetables, Man, let me tell you, I remember before I used to go to sleep at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I used to have troubles going to sleep. It wasn't until that when I really tap into the raw vegan, when I really tap into the detoxification of the body, because it's gonna detox you. It's going to break down certain ailments and certain things that's going in your body, that I was starting to go to sleep at 7 p.m., 7:30, 8 p.m. I couldn't believe it. As an adult, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was getting tired around like 6:30, and I'll be in bed by 7 p.m., waking up at 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. with so much energy. I was like, I don't even know what to do with myself right now. I, you know, but that's something I really wanted to shed light on.
I do feel there is a progression here because, as you said before, it's like start with what you can, do
Yes.
what you can do. And you've been vegan for like 7 years, I think. So maybe it's the time to 8 years. So it's time for you to start. There's a lot of cleansing going on, but sometimes it can just be the raw veganism can be just too jarring. When I first started my journey, I'm kind of envious of what you were saying, which
Mm,
is that start slowly, because the people that I was talking to were like, go 100%. And if it doesn't work, try again. And that created a lot of difficulties around trying, like going from McDonald's to raw vegan. And if it
that's
didn't work,
crazy.
try again tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
so I wish back then someone had said, don't worry about that. Just go vegan for a bit. Do that for a while. You've got plenty of time, and then just let it transition in this way. Because
Yeah,
I
man.
often say to people on my own journey that the biggest mistake I made was try to go so fast that I ended up going really slowly. Right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
if I went slowly, it would have progressed a lot more. But it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you today. You've got such a wealth of information, and the
Thank
biggest
you.
thing for me is understanding your drive. Your drive is so powerful and dedicated and exciting. So it's a really magnetic energy for people to
Thank
be
you.
around and learn from you. So keep up the good work, man.
Absolutely, Joe. I mean, I'm a passionate person with everything that I do, man. I like literally, if you cut me open, all you're gonna see is passion. Like I'm literally, that's all you're gonna see. You're gonna see that
I
energy,
like
that
that,
Bernhard
mate.
energy,
That's
that
good.
passion.
That is
Yeah,
really, really good,
that's
man.
me, man. That's me.
I love it. That's really cool. I like that. Thank you so much for joining us today, mate. And we'll post all your contact details below the video so people can get in touch with you. Maybe they can go on your
Absolutely.
retreat, look into
Yes,
coaching, just get more of your energy. That'd be fantastic.
absolutely.
Awesome, mate. Great. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.